welcome back to the Cookie Table Podcast. My name is Jade, owner of Joyful Events by Jade and Joyful Commons, and I am so grateful that you are back here with me. And I want to first say I'm so sorry for the hiatus. I really came into 2026 very confident that I would do episodes bi-weekly. Clearly that didn't happen. I'm here to tell you why. I'm here to update you on what's been going on, and I'm really excited to jump back into this podcast. It is really near and dear to me. I've just been busy, and finances have been tough, and I'm going to get into all that. So where I was recording the podcast originally when I first started this, I think 2.5 to 3 years ago, because what is this? Season 3, so I call it. That studio was owned by the same people that have the studio that I jumped to starting this year. The podcast that I did with Pastries a la carte, that was in a beautiful new studio. The old studio was $75 an hour. It was a lot more manageable. It wasn't that bad financially. To me, it was worth it from a marketing standpoint, and because obviously I love doing this, I love talking with you. And 75 was just a lot more doable. I then launched Joyful Commons. Things got tough financially, which again I am going to jump into with you today. And they moved their studio to this beautiful new place. I went there a couple of times, very transparently, $145 an hour. It was really hard for me to keep up with that and justify that. So I want to say I recorded there twice, and with the way things were going with Joyful Commons and just where I was at financially, it was not making sense. Then I had an epiphany. Why don't I record at Joyful Commons? I have these beautiful orange chairs. I can get some equipment. I know it's not super, high quality like the studio that I was in, but it is still, I think, great, and it's a great alternative, and I can call Joyful Commons the exclusive location to the Cookie Table Podcast. I'm not allowing anyone else to just come in here and do their podcast. This is going to be kind of my podcast lounge for the Cookie Table Podcast, which I'm really excited for. So I'm excited to jump into this new journey. I am getting a neon sign, which is really cool. It's going to hang right in the middle when I have a guest, and that's just still getting work done. So that will be coming up next. But that's kind of a start to why the hiatus happened. Obviously, I did just get really busy trying to do Joyful Commons and Joyful Events. If you know, I also co-own Brie and Baskets. I'm very grateful I have a partner with that. It is our side gig, so to speak, for both Brittany and I. So it's definitely not a full-time job, but it still takes up time. If I did not have Brittany helping me with that, there's no way I would be able to do all three, of course. So I just have a lot going on. And I had to focus on trying to get profit and finances in order before continuing this podcast. And again, now that I don't have to pay $145 an hour, you're going to see a lot more of me, which I hope you don't mind. So things are a little rough, but welcome to Joyful Commons. Welcome to now the exclusive recording spot for the Cookie Table Podcast. Joyful Commons is now only focused on events and a meeting space. That is a big thing to say. If you have been listening, if you've been following along, I launched Joyful Commons last September formally. Over a year ago now is when I started this journey with Joyful Commons, and I felt very called to help parents, entrepreneur parents like myself, to go, have help, because not everybody wants daycare or full-time daycare. Not everybody can afford it. And when I obviously felt very called to start Joyful Commons, I felt very confident in the idea that co-working with supervised play would excel. I really, really did, because I was someone that really needed the help, that I was like, there has to be more people out there. We officially launched on September 2nd. Somebody, as I'm sure you know, did help me with a launch plan. Obviously, looking back, I feel like there were a lot of things that should have been done differently. Seeing this as a brick and mortar, there's a lot more that goes into a brick and mortar. Instagram strategy cannot be your only marketing strategy. And I did unfortunately rely a lot heavier on that because I felt like that's all I needed. Because I felt like I was sold on that was all I needed, but I clearly needed to do a lot more than that. So after launch, I jumped into a lot of other marketing things on myself. By myself, I was sending out flyers. I did send out some mailers. I was starting Google Ads. I did do some meta ads and just was trying to do organic events on Facebook and all these things on how can I bring people into Joyful Commons for supervised play. We launched officially in September. We, right off the bat, got 2 part-time members, and within a month, both of them changed their memberships. The one said it was too hard for her to get here. She was only coming once a week, and she still was saying it was too hard to get here. The part-time member, the other one, then decided to put his son in daycare for longer days, and that person was coming a couple days a week still, but nothing that was consistent. They weren't a member anymore. They were only grabbing a couple day passes here and there. In October, I lost those 2, but then I gained 2. I gained 2 full-time members off the bat. Very, very transparently, to have staffing here for supervised play and just the overhead and everything, my overhead was roughly $6,000 a month with staffing. The 2 full-time members, I was getting $1,000 a month. And I know what you might be thinking. Well, Jade, it's a brand new business. It takes a year. It takes a year. I could not give it a year. I had those 2 full-time members stay until March. January, there was an uptick in some interest of day passes. We got a lot of people coming in more daily. And then March came around, and the one full-time member had to put her son in daycare. She said that from a productivity standpoint, her work was cracking down on her, which then you are, okay, well, I always argued that Joyful Commons was not for someone working a 9 to 5. This person had a 9 to 5. This was truly just for people that needed, a couple hours a day to come in here, because this was never supposed to be a full-time daycare. So I get that issue. I feel like I'm combating that. I'm creating videos on Instagram to try to combat all the fears that parents were telling me. Well, my kiddo will never be able to see me as well. Okay, well, have you ever tried it? Parents are spread so thin that, one, it's hard to make them commit to something, was basically what I ended up realizing. And then parents are obviously just, again, being spread so thin that it could be hard to leave the house with a toddler specifically. So to expect more parents to commit ended up being way more of a challenge than I ever would have expected. It is what it is. It is what it is. I was part of the problem. There were days when I planned to come in here, and my son kind of threw me off, and we ended up never coming in. I would adjust the hours. I tried to do open play, and just nobody was interested to an extent to make this profitable. And again, keeping the overhead in mind, we had 2 full-time members. I needed about a mix of 10 to 15 members to be profitable. And a mix of those 10 to 15 members could have been anywhere from the smallest tier to the largest tier. But I needed a minimum of 10 if I would have had more larger, at least 15 if I would have had more smaller, if that makes sense. And clearly, after 9 months, to only have 1 member, because I lost the other member, to only have 1 full-time member after 9 months, I prayed very heavily and hard on it for months. I really was just hoping and asking God for a sense of clarity. And, by me talking about this, I may lose some listeners and people that, if you don't believe in God, I completely am never, ever, ever going to shun you for that, and I'm never going to shove that down your throat. I'm just telling you my experience with someone who's a Christian. I do not go to church regularly, but I do try to watch church online every now and then when I have the time, and I've been trying to pray a lot more and just try to put my trust in my intuition and gut, and whether that is the Holy Spirit talking to me or not, I try to trust it and listen to it. And if you are a Christian and you read the Bible at all, I do not read the Bible, but I ended up doing some research afterwards to try to understand this. There are about 10 different Bible verses that talk about clarity and calmness and decisions being calmness. And I am not lying to you when I tell you that May 11th or something, the most random ass date in the world, I had the calmest feeling that I can't even get to explain, that I knew I had to be done with supervised play. The absolute calmest feeling in the world. I got to be done. And it was like that. This is done. I'm done. So again, a part of me, whether you believe it was the Holy Spirit or not, or again, intuition, I did not feel necessarily beat up about it. I do not see it as a failure because it brought me to this beautiful space. And as a wedding planner, I get to have beautiful events in it, which is incredible. And I just knew I had to move on. And very quickly, I reached out to the girls in Beyond Boss, which I'm very grateful to be a part of that group. And everybody backed my decision and said, if this is how you feel, that I think you should be done. And that it is what it is. And it came down to staffing. Staffing would have been fine and not an issue if I had 5 kids in the space daily or multiple members, but I just didn't. So I was then dragging my staff around, calling them in, calling them off, adjusting their hours last minute. Hey, our only member's coming in at 11 today. Can you just wait until 11 until you go in? All while I'm trying to run my wedding planning business, and it just wasn't working. It just wasn't working. So I pulled the plug, officially starting June 1st, that we no longer offer supervised play here, and we are solely a meeting space and event space. I appreciate your support. For those that did support me, I like to make it a reminder that it is important to support businesses that you believe in, because unfortunately this is what can happen. I cannot even tell you how many people told me what a great idea supervised play with co-working was. It got to the point where it was actually annoying because I was like, okay, I love that you feel this way and I'm so grateful, but where the hell are the people? Why is nobody coming in? And like I said, I chalked it up at the end of the day to a parent commitment problem. I do know that there are also people out there that did not believe in this vision and thought that this would never work. So I always want people to support other people, and women supporting women especially, but there's a lot of cattiness. And I think that to the people that see it didn't work and didn't believe it would work, you were right. But I gave it a shot, and I wanted to try to at least help other families. But we're moving on to the next chapter, again, bringing back the podcast in the space itself, and I'm really excited to host more and more events here. Bringing back the Cookie Table podcast, if you are new here, I was in radio, and my background is in radio, so I always knew I wanted to do a podcast. So being behind a microphone and talking, it means a lot to me. It is harder for me to do solo episodes. I love having a guest. It's a lot easier for me to bounce back and forth, so always bear with me if I feel like I'm all over the place. I do not script my podcasts. I think it sounds very inauthentic when you are reading a script. I've tried it before, and it sounds ridiculous. So I do have a short outline that I try to go off of while I am doing this, hence the paper. But no, I do not script my podcasts. I'm not reading a teleprompter behind the screen. I wanted to also mention this week that I am very grateful and proud. Although supervised play hasn't worked out, I can be proud that I am a 2026 Pittsburgh's 50 Finest nominee or honoree this year for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. So I'm very excited for that. If you're unfamiliar with cystic fibrosis, it's a really awful disease that cystic fibrosis is a bunch of mucus built up in your lungs, and anyone that has cystic fibrosis, the amount of time and resources that they have to spend every single day doing breathing treatments is debilitating and really awful. It's hard to live a normal life when you have to take 30 minutes multiple times out of your day to stop and do these breathing treatments. So I'm very honored to help the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. My goal and all of my businesses has always been to help people, whether it was to try to help families, but to help couples have the best day ever and to help people celebrate beautiful moments in life through events. I want to continue to help people through this campaign. So I'm very, very honored to be a nominee this year. I am hosting a golf outing on August 3rd. If you are a golfer or if you would love to sponsor it, I'm going to put the information in the description of the podcast here to where you can buy a golf ticket registration or message me for sponsorship. It is going to be held again Monday, August 3rd at Green Oaks Country Club. So if you are a golfer, it's a really big incentive to come because it's a chance to play at a private club for less. Their guest pass is like $130, but the entire package for this is $200. So not only are proceeds going to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, you get breakfast, you get dinner, and you get 18-hole scramble, access to a driving range. It's going to be really fun. I'm really excited. So please check out the information. If you're not a golfer, please think about, again, sponsoring or supporting my campaign in any way. It really, really would mean a lot to me. So I have that going on this summer as well. Into the stressors of just life has been with trying to make Joyful Commons work. But again, it hasn't been. Trying to jump back onto, my Instagram for joyful events and getting myself back out there with that. It's been really interesting, but here we are. I am back. One of the last podcast episodes I did before Pastries a la carte was at the DJ Summit, which is crazy. That was January, and it's July 1st. Holy shit. Wow. Time is flying. I wanted to mention something that happened at the DJ Summit that I wish I could tell this person my answer now because I felt terrible. I was very, very honored to be on the panel for the DJ Summit. And the Wedding Pros panel where we spoke to the DJs and they asked questions. And I did get a random question at the end where a DJ said, how can I get on a planner's referral list that I am not, I don't know that planner. I've never worked with them. And I was obviously, we literally had a clock this year because I did the panel the first year too, and we didn't. And with the clock, I was trying to kind of see that we had 2 minutes left or something. And I'm watching this clock go down, and I'm like, I don't really know. You can't really, I'm stuttering. I'm like, I can't refer you if I don't know you. That puts my neck on the line. I'm not going to refer a DJ I don't know to couples when I already have a list of DJs. So let me think about that. And basically, you know how it is when you go home and then you're like, oh, that was a way better answer. I did think about it, and I have an answer for you. If you would ever find this podcast, because I didn't get your name, but if you are a DJ, what I was thinking was I meet new vendors and new DJs through my day of coordination clients, my wedding day management clients, because those are the clients that they all book their own vendors. So I come in 3 months out and I just help finalize all their details and coordinate the wedding day. All of my couples have access to my general vendor referral list. I give that to everybody. They don't pay to be on that list. There's no secret. It's just wonderful, wonderful vendors. They don't have to use it, obviously. So I'm still learning. I'm still meeting vendors that I haven't met, even after doing this for almost 8 years now. My advice to that DJ was, if you ever have a client come up to you asking for a coordinator, if they booked you first and they're asking for a day of coordinator, if that planner you've always wanted to work with offers day of coordination, that's, I think, your chance to recommend that planner to your client for them to book. I feel like that is so much better than, asking that planner to coffee or sliding into their DMs. And it is true. Wedding planners get a lot of emails. A lot of emails hey, or DMs, can we get coffee? I'd love to be on your list. And it's like, it is such a hustle that I respect that people do that. But even with photographers, it's hard to do that. You just launched your business. How am I going to put you over top of the 8 photographers that I have on my list that has been doing this for anywhere from 10 to 15 years? Even if they've been doing it for less, maybe they're just really exceptionally good. Take a moment to cleanse my palate here. So that's my recommendation, to put on to refer that planner to your clients, and if they book, then that planner can listen to you and actually hear how you do, and they can also see how you communicate on the back end. One of my biggest pet peeves is the amount of vendors that do not email well, or do not email back within even 3 days max. It is so ridiculous, the poor communication, when in my opinion, if you're running a business, emailing and clear communication is a large part of the job. We are all busy. You are not the only one that is busy. Take some time. If you have to wait until it's nighttime to answer those emails, please just do it. And when we send you a timeline, actually thoroughly review it, because I'm getting really tired of the vendors too that are not even looking at the timelines we're sending. Timelines attached. Nobody reads. But everyone's job would be easier if you just read it. So with that being said, another thing that happened this year that I wanted to touch base on is we had somebody, we've actually had this happen 3 different times, where we would get on a call with a client and that vendor would say, I did not see this timeline yet. Now, if you are a day of coordination client, we are sending timelines out anywhere from 1 to 3 months out, depending on your involvement with the wedding. But especially photographers, you're getting the email with the timeline 2 to 3 months out. Everyone else gets it 1 month out. So if we're having a final meeting 1 week from the wedding and they say, oh, I didn't see this yet. Even if you didn't see it yet because you're very bad at reading your emails, that doesn't mean we didn't send it. And I want you to know, saying that, especially on a call with a client, is throwing us under the bus like we didn't do our job. Because us as planners and coordinators, when I'm doing my consultation, I am selling every part of that package. And we sell that at 3 months out. We start building your timeline and we rope in your photographer first, and then we'll send to everybody else. We'll connect with the rest of your vendors 1 month out. We are selling that. So when then you say, I didn't see this yet, it looks like we didn't do our job. So I'm just asking vendors to take time and read their emails. Is it so hard? And read the timelines we send. 2026, not only has it been a challenging year, I just feel like vendors that are burnt out and are so busy, they don't feel like, again, reading their emails, whatever the case is, poor communication, finances, joyful commons, supervised play not working. 2026 has not been shaping out the way that I've been hoping. But it has been the year of me adding 3 new clauses to my contract, which I haven't edited my contract in years, but I've had to add multiple clauses to my contract to edit basically being bullied and that I can walk out and I need to protect myself. I had to also edit it about setup and that we don't replace other vendors. And I've had a couple of my planning colleagues help me with these edits because it was just getting tiring. No, we're not going to set up your balloons. No, we're not a balloon vendor. We're not going to do that. So explaining that and overly putting these things in your contract was a big change I made this year. 2026, I guess, is the year of manipulative mothers. I had a really, really, really rough wedding. They were full-scale clients, and a mother of the groom was, it was bad. It was my first time stepping off of a wedding, which I am going to save that story for when I can actually get one of those vendors on the podcast to talk about it with me because of what we went through together. So please stay tuned for that story. But I also had another mother the month after that, just, again, manipulation tactics, but in a completely different way. I don't like when people try to talk to me like I'm stupid, like I don't know what you're doing. Well, if you just did this, then that. no, you're completely wrong, but you're trying to save face and not show how you're really thinking, and you don't want to upset them because they're a client. It was ridiculous. I mean, literally March and April, like, we don't usually get weddings in March and April. Drain the shit out of me. 2026 is obviously, I guess, the year of bad venue coordinators as well. We've only had one. I shouldn't say that. But to add to how 2026 has been, I just this past weekend had a horrendous venue coordinator. And I don't understand how these people are getting jobs and how this is happening. For a day of coordination client, mind you, I had to get on a separate call with this venue coordinator 2 different times to walk through their paperwork to make sure they didn't miss anything. So that was great. 2026 has been the year of people, again, that are burnt out and not willing to be flexible. I think people, if you are in weddings, you should be doing this because you genuinely enjoy it and you want people to be happy. I am really, really over just the inflexibility of so many people. I had, a couple requests. They decided they wanted 2 bars at cocktail hour instead of 1. It was a smaller venue, so the answer was, okay, you won't get detailed shots of your room. Oh, we don't care. Just open up both doors. Whatever. The venue was so reluctant at first to open up both doors. I was like, who cares? Who fucking cares? Just pour the water goblets a little bit earlier. Or if people start sitting, just pour them over top. Like, it's 1 hour cocktail hour difference. Like, why are we making such a big deal about this? Just none of it is that serious. Just open the damn doors. And I'm feeling really tired of fighting with people and dealing with all of that. 2026 has just been a trying year so far. When I came into 2026 thinking it would be so amazing. But it is July. We are headed into the second half of the year. So I'm hoping things are looking up. I hope things are looking up for you. I'm heading into my best friend's bachelorette weekend. We're going to Rhode Island, so that's going to be a fantastic time. Probably one of the last bachelorettes I'll ever get to enjoy. So I'm going to soak that in. 2026 is also the year, despite the negative, the positive is where I get my first destination wedding. I'm actually going to Florida in October. They just booked. So we're planning this on a pretty quick timeline. I am really excited for that. So that's coming up in October, my first actual destination wedding. We've been in Deep Creek, but this is like way better, obviously. So I have that site visit coming up next week. So I'll be in Florida doing everything for that couple for 2 days. And then going to Italy to watch my best friend get married. So that's incredible as well. So there's so much positivity around this year, despite the negative. We are looking forward. We are ready. We are back here on the cookie table, and we are going to be back here again Wednesday, July 15th with Taylor Ollason Photography. I'm so excited. She's going to be my first guest in my new personal podcast setup. So we are going to do this, wedding vendors. If you're getting married this year, congratulations. But here is to the rest of 2026 looking up. Cheers to that with my water. But with Taylor, next episode, we will have wine and cookies. Thank you so much for listening to the Cookie Table Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Jade Granda. Check the links for my golf outing again in the description. I would love to see you there. Thanks so much for listening.